This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah! Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber from the Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episodes. On Monday, Matt might get kicked off by talking about one-page financial plans and how that phrase has been something thrown around the industry quite a bit. They also wanted to talk about how this comes into play and how you demonstrate value, especially when you're meeting with a prospect who's a do-it-yourselfer. The guy said this is one of the reasons why you need to set expectations for yourself about your primary goal with meetings, which for them is to deliver massive value. But as I've mentioned before, you can't go into a meeting with a prospect or client and say, hey, I'm going to deliver massive value to you, and have them actually understand what that means. Instead, you can set guidelines around what that means for you, such as answering every question that you can within the meeting timeframe. Now, for the DIYers, Micah said don't get caught up in them being a DIYer with their investments, because he said they likely delegate over 99% of everything else in their life, just like most people. But the way they're looking at a meeting with an advisor is whether you're a good trade for value versus money. There's some people who will decide no matter what that they want to do things themselves, and he said that's okay, but that most people who want to come in, they're looking for some help. Now, something to clarify is that Matt said that you can easily confuse value with volume. So his criteria in these meetings is to provide advice that they're going to take action on. He said his job is to help clients become aware of problems that they didn't know they had and then show them the solution. Matt and Micah went into what your job isn't, which might turn some heads. They said your job is to not talk about investments or focus on estate planning or help clients with retirement. They said those may be components of your job, but your job is to meet with a client and help them take on a ton of action to achieve their goals. Because if you're not focused on getting your clients to take action, then there's no value. Matt and Micah discussed how to pivot from the traditional viewpoint of people thinking that they need a 100-page financial plan. The guy said that for those who feel that a one-page plan isn't really a financial plan, to do the highlighter test for the plan that you're using. Highlight any lines that are specific actionable advice, and then compare that to the specific actionable advice on a one-page financial plan. They also said that you need to highlight what would make sense to a layperson. So that one-page plan excels here because it goes through how you're going to minimize risk and how the client is going to accomplish their goals. And this needs to be trackable going forward. As far as what you want on that plan, Matt says you want to start with the client's goals, and that's whatever they said in their language as to why they're coming in to meet with you. Micah said you always want to make sure that you hit the questions that the clients have, whether they're direct or hidden, because if you don't do that, they're not going to listen to anything else that you're saying, especially when you're going to do the big ask. Matt will explain that the one-page plan is an executive summary, which he's going to go through, and that at the end of the meeting, he'll then ask if they want to meet again so they can become a client. So now the prospect knows when that big question is going to be asked. They don't have to think about it anymore. And now Matt said he's on the hook for that big ask because he's already told the prospect when he's going to be asking it. Now, here's a question the guys get asked a lot. Does the one-page financial plan have to be one page? Matt said it doesn't have to be one page, but he likes to keep it to one because it forces him to be concise and focus on the bullet points that are most important. Micah added that the simpler he can make things, the more action he can get from clients. Now, the guy said it takes energy and time and effort to be able to create this one-page financial plan. It's challenging. It's not more complex, but it is harder. Now, Micah also said that that one-page plan also ties into the dishwasher rule so that you can get credit for the value you provide and what you're doing for clients. You can go through that plan and it'll show everything you've done for them, but you also need to tie this into the next steps going forward. That leads into that ongoing relationship and future value adds and how you're going to keep things on track for retirement. It also gives you a guided structure instead of some generic analysis and can help, especially for younger advisors, when you feel that pressure going into that client meeting. And it also makes it personable to the client. All right, let's get into action items. You need to find proven examples of what works in client meetings. and look at your entire prospect process and see how you can simplify this for your clients and your prospects. Also, reach out to us and let us know where you're getting stuck. On Wednesday, Matt was joined by Amyr Rocha Lima from the UK, who's a financial advisor and does a lot of work with the CISI, where Matt will be speaking in October. Now, I'm excited to share that both Matt and I will be attending that conference. So, TPR listeners, especially those of you who are listening to us in the UK, share all your tips and recommendations for while we're there. Amyr talked about the importance of doing the work and being intentional. He said you need to stop the noise. Don't listen to the stuff that's out there and that self-limiting belief and that people don't like you. He said whatever it is, just do the work and try to listen to the people who are maybe a few miles ahead of you. Matt said it's easy to get caught up in that illusion of success, and people tend to forget about all the obstacles that happen. Things aren't always smooth sailing. But Amyr views these obstacles as an opportunity for success. He shared that he spent 6 years in a business where the goal was for him to buy the founding partners out, and when it came down to it, he was told that they were going to go in a different direction. So he said he had his own financial plan and started making adjustments in how that original plan looked for his business. He said, being in that situation, you start going back to your network and communicating with people who have your best interests at heart. And that it's a reminder that those connections were always there, but you maybe weren't doing the work to make things happen. So now he started a new practice, and he said what he thought he was going to build somewhere else is now something he's building exactly as he planned to build it. Amyr shared that when he started building processes, he first looked like Surge and how to implement it. He listened to our podcast on Surge, he did our Surge master course, and what he realized is that it really comes down to being intentional. And this is something he realized he hadn't previously been. So he started time blocking and looking at clients to figure out how to double his business. And then he backed into a business plan. Amyr shared his advice for those who are involved in a succession plan, which is to be as open as possible for all parties involved. But he said, get yourself into a position where you're going to do the work so that if you need to, you can go and find another job. For him, the first building block was education. He wanted to feel that he earned a seat at the table with others. So this was getting a CFP and then spending time with mentors who could help take that CFP and implement it in a way where you're then going to help your clients where no one ever has. He said it's okay if things don't go exactly the way you planned. Have that solid foundation so that you can pivot and do the work and keep moving forward. Matt also talked about how Amyr has done so much within the financial planning community and that he's focused on giving back. Amyr said you can do this at your local FPA chapter, but do something and be a part of something bigger than you. Amyr also shared the questions that he asked every prospective client. He said those questions are basic, but it's about listening to what the prospect has to say. This helps you understand everything that they're concerned about, and it helps you deliver value. Amyr said you need to be listening and do the work and put those reps in. He said you're not in the business of convincing anyone of anything. You're there to see enough people so that a number of them say yes because what you offer is a great fit and it delivers massive value to them. Amyr said you need to remember how you're helping people, about the good that you do, and that you're doing it in a way that no other professional does. Let's get into action items. Find a community in the industry that you not only belong to, but one that you can help move forward. And stop the bad story and the self-limiting belief and just do the work. Find someone whose story resonates with you and learn from them. On Thursday, Jamie wanted to talk about the DIYers and the prospects that don't hire you. She went through the history of Shalansky & Associates and how they started charging for prospect appointments. She said they were doing a lot of seminars, and during these, people could complete a fact finder and then have a consultation in their office. She said every so often, they'd have someone come in and they wanted to extract as much information as possible with no intention of ever hiring them. They had a term for them, and they called them brain suckers. But they realized that they had the wrong attitude with these meetings because they were having a negative reaction. People were coming to them because they want information, so they didn't want to be annoyed. From this, they decided to start charging for that prospect appointment. And because of this, they can go in ready to deliver massive value. They have a giant prospect process which filters through the team, including having that prospect fill out that personal fact finder. Jamie shared that they don't close every prospect and they filter through this first, keeping in mind, did they want them as a client? And during that meeting, is that someone they'd want to work with? If the answer is yes, then they don't offer justification as to whether they get hired. Now, part of the reason they charge is so they don't feel fatigued after meeting with a DIYer. Now, those people have taken the right steps over time, so when they come into their office, they don't look at them in a negative light. Instead, they can appreciate what that person has accomplished. They'll validate what they've done. Now, Jamie said because a prospect is a DIYer, it doesn't mean you can't provide value, because most of the times they just want to know that they're on track or point something out where they might have made a mistake. No matter whether you're charging or not, you want to provide as much value as possible during that meeting. Let's get into action items. Jamie said seminars still work, whether those in person or if they're virtual, so keep that in mind. Look at your prospect process and make sure that you're getting the most information possible. And what do you need to do? What steps so that when you're meeting with a DIY, you're not feeling annoyed or agitated and you're focused on delivering value? All right, TPR Nation, a couple of things before I wrap up. Don't miss out on our events this September. Be sure to get your tickets to the Retirement Tax Services Tax Summit, and Invictus members sign up for our Invictus Mastermind. Visit theperfectra.com, reach out to us, and we can help get you signed up. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me for today's Follow-Up Friday. Please share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or a team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the perfect